Dr. Hae-Jin Park rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the computer screen. The numbers didn't make sense. She had checked them 3 times already, but they still showed the same strange pattern. The massive star she was studying in the Carina Nebula was acting very differently from any other dying star she had seen before. The year was 2157, and the International Deep Space Research Station, Horizon, was the most advanced space laboratory ever built by humans. Through its powerful telescopes and sensors, Hae-Jin could observe stars that were millions of light years away. But this particular star had caught her attention for the past week. "Dr. Kim, could you look at this data?" Hae-Jin called out to her mentor, who was working at another computer station. Dr. Jae-won Kim was one of the most respected scientists on the station, with 30 years of experience studying space phenomena. Jae-won walked over, his steps slow but steady in the artificial gravity of the station. He adjusted his glasses and leaned forward to look at Hae-Jin's screen. "What am I looking at?" "These are the gravitational readings from star CS 7249. See how the waves are forming this unusual pattern." Hae-Jin pointed to a series of peaks and valleys in the data. "I've never seen anything like this before." Jae-won's eyes widened as he studied the readings. "How long has it been doing this?" "The pattern started 7 days ago. At first, I thought it was just normal variation. But look at this." Hae-Jin pulled up another screen showing the star's energy output. "The star is dying, but not in the way we usually see. The collapse is happening in a very organized way." The 2 scientists spent the next hour analyzing the data. Their excitement grew as they realized what they might be witnessing. This could be the first time humans would see a black hole form from start to finish. "We need to tell Commander Lee," Jae-won said finally. "This is too important to keep to ourselves." Soon, they were in the station's main meeting room. Commander Ta-Yang Lee listened carefully as Hae-Jin explained what they had found. The station's other key team members were there too. Dr. Sun Mi-Kang, who managed their AI systems, and Chief Engineer Do-Hyun Choi, who kept the station running safely. "So you're saying this star is about to become a black hole?" Commander Lee asked, his face serious. "And it's happening in a way we've never seen before." "Yes, sir," Hae-Jin answered. "Based on our calculations, the star will complete its collapse within the next 2 weeks. This is a chance to witness something that has never been properly documented before." Sun Mi spoke up from her seat. "Our AI systems can handle the data collection, but we'll need to upgrade their processing capacity. The amount of information we'll receive will be massive." "What about the station's safety?" Do-Hyun asked, always thinking about practical matters. "We're currently at a safe distance, but if we want better readings, we'll need to move closer." Commander Lee stood up and walked to the window. From there, they could see the vast expanse of space, with countless stars twinkling in the darkness. Somewhere out there, a cosmic monster was about to be born. "Dr. Park, how sure are you about this?" he asked. Hae-Jin stood straight and spoke with confidence. "Sir, I've studied dying stars for 8 years. This is different from anything in our records. If we miss this chance, we might have to wait decades to see something like it again." The commander nodded slowly. "All right, Chief Choi, start calculating safe distances for observation. Dr. Kang, begin your eye upgrades. Dr. Park, Dr. Kim, I want hourly updates on any changes in the star's behavior." As the team left the meeting room, Hae-Jin felt a mix of excitement and fear. They were about to witness one of the most powerful events in the universe. She looked at her mentor, Jae-won, who gave her an encouraging smile. "Ready to make history?" he asked. Hae-Jin nodded. "Ready as I'll ever be." None of them knew then that they were about to discover something far more extraordinary than just a black hole's birth. The universe was about to reveal one of its biggest secrets, and humanity would never be the same after learning it. The next 3 days on the International Deep Space Research Station, Horizon, were filled with constant activity. Every crew member knew they had to prepare quickly for the rare event they were about to witness. Chief Engineer Do-hyun Choi worked with his team to move the station closer to the dying star. They had to be extremely careful. Even though they were still millions of kilometers away, the star's strong gravity could affect their equipment. All systems are working at 98% efficiency, Do-hyun reported to Commander Lee. We can move closer, but we shouldn't go beyond the safety line I've marked. Commander Tae-yang Lee studied the proposed position carefully. As the station's leader, the safety of his crew was his first priority. But he also understood the importance of their mission. How close can we get while keeping the station completely safe? He asked. If we stay behind this point, Do-hyun showed him on the map, we should be fine even if the star's collapse is stronger than we expect. Meanwhile, Dr. Sun Mi-kang was having problems with the station's AI systems. The computers were struggling to process the huge amount of data coming from the dying star. She hadn't slept properly in 2 days, trying to solve this problem. The patterns are too complex, she explained to Ho-jin, who had come to check on her progress. Our AI can handle normal star data, but this is different. It's like trying to read a book with half the pages written in a language we don't know. Ho-jin understood the problem. She had spent hours looking at the strange readings herself. What if we focus only on the gravitational waves? That's where we're seeing the most unusual patterns. Sun Mi's eyes lit up. That could work. We could use the secondary AI systems for everything else. She immediately started typing new commands into her computer. In another part of the station, Dr. Jae-won Kim was checking their emergency procedures. Something about the star's behavior made him nervous. He had studied space phenomena for 30 years, but this star wasn't following any patterns he knew. Ho-jin, he called when she passed by his office. Look at these readings from the last hour. Ho-jin looked at the screen and felt her heart beat faster. The star's outer layers were moving in ways they hadn't predicted. It's happening faster than we thought, she said quietly. Jae-won nodded. At this rate, we might see the collapse begin in days, not weeks. They quickly called an emergency meeting. Soon, all 5 key team members were gathered in the command center. The large screen showed the dying star, which looked peaceful despite the chaos happening inside it. The star is collapsing faster than our original predictions, Ho-jin explained to everyone. We might have only 3 or 4 days before it begins forming the black hole. Commander Lee looked concerned. Do we have enough time to prepare? The station is almost in position, Do-hyun reported. We can be ready in 2 days. My team needs at least 3 days to upgrade all the AI systems, Sun Mi said, looking worried. The commander stood in silence for a moment, thinking. Finally, he made his decision. Dr. Kang, focus on upgrading only the most important systems. Chief Choi, get us into position as quickly as safely possible. Dr. Park, Dr. Kim, keep monitoring that star. If anything changes, I want to know immediately. As they left the meeting, Ho-jin felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. They were about to witness something unprecedented in human history. But a small voice in her mind kept wondering, what if they weren't just watching a star die? What if they were about to discover something even more extraordinary? That night, as she looked out her window at the distant star, Ho-jin noticed something odd. For a brief moment, she thought she saw a pattern in the star's light pulses. It almost looked like a signal. She shook her head, telling herself she was just tired. But the thought wouldn't leave her mind. What if they weren't just watching the birth of a black hole? What if they were about to witness something that would change humanity's understanding of the universe forever? The alarm sounded throughout the International Deep Space Research Station, Horizon, at exactly 3:47 a.m. station time. The sound woke everyone from their sleep, and within minutes, the entire crew gathered at their emergency stations. Chief Engineer Do-hyun Choi reached the control room first. His hands moved quickly across the control panel as he checked all the station's systems. The gravitational sensors were showing readings far beyond their normal range. Status report. Commander Taiyang Li demanded as he entered the control room, his uniform hastily put on. The star's outer layers are falling inward, Du Hyun reported, his voice steady despite the tension. The collapse has begun. Dr. Hae-jin Park and Dr. Ji-won Kim arrived next, moving straight to their research stations. The main screen showed the dying star, which now looked noticeably different from just hours before. Its bright surface seemed to be moving, like water going down a drain. "Look at these energy readings," Hae-jin said, pointing to her screen. "The star is releasing more power in 1 second than our sun produces in a year." Ji-won studied the data with growing amazement. "In all my years of research, I've never seen anything like this. The collapse is following a pattern, almost like it's being controlled." Dr. Sun Mi-kang's voice came through the intercom. "The AI systems are detecting something unusual in the quantum readings. You need to see this." Commander Lee pressed a button, and Sun Mi's data appeared on the main screen. The numbers and patterns made Hae-jin gasp. The quantum fluctuations around the dying star weren't random. They formed clear, repeating patterns. "This shouldn't be possible," Ji-won whispered. "Quantum events are supposed to be random. But these," he pointed to a series of waves on the screen. "These look organized." The station shook slightly, and Du Hyun quickly checked his instruments. "We're still at a safe distance," he assured everyone. "But the gravitational forces are stronger than we predicted." Hae-jin couldn't take her eyes off the data. The patterns she had noticed earlier were now clear and unmistakable. "Commander," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "I don't think this is just a natural event." Before anyone could respond, the main screen lit up with a brilliant flash. The star's surface had broken apart, revealing its core. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Streams of stellar material flowed inward in spiral patterns, glowing with intense light. "All sensors at maximum," Commander Lee ordered. "Record everything." Sun Mi's voice came through again, now filled with excitement. "The AI is detecting a coherent signal in the quantum noise. It's faint, but it's definitely there." Ji-won moved to Hae-jin's station and began comparing their readings with older data. "The collapse isn't just creating a black hole," he said slowly. "It's creating something else too. Something we've never seen before." The station shook again, harder this time. Du Hyun's fingers flew across his control panel. "The gravitational waves are intensifying. We need to be ready to move back if they get any stronger." Commander Lee stood in the center of the control room, watching his crew work. They were witnessing something unprecedented, something that could change their understanding of the universe. But he could also sense the danger. They were watching the birth of one of the most powerful forces in the cosmos. Hae-jin looked up from her readings, her eyes wide with realization. "Dr. Kim," she said, "the quantum patterns, they're not just organized. They're a message." The control room fell silent as everyone turned to look at her. Through the main window, they could see the dying star continuing its collapse, its light growing more intense by the second. They were no longer just observers of a natural phenomenon. They had become witnesses to something far more extraordinary. The birth of this black hole was just the beginning. The real discovery was still to come. The control room of the International Deep Space Research Station, Horizon, was completely silent. Everyone stared at Dr. Hae-jin Park as she worked to analyze the strange patterns they had detected in the quantum readings. "Show us what you found," Commander Taiyang Li ordered quietly. Hae-jin displayed her findings on the main screen. "These patterns appear every 12 seconds, she explained, pointing to a series of waves. "At first, they looked random, but when we study them carefully, we can see they repeat in a specific way." Dr. Ji-won Kim moved closer to the screen, his expression serious. "Natural phenomena don't create patterns this precise," he said. "Something or someone is creating these signals." The star continued its collapse outside their window. Its surface now glowed with an intense blue light, and streams of stellar material formed perfect spirals as they fell toward the center. Dr. Sun Mikang's voice came through the speakers. The AI systems have finished analyzing the first set of patterns. You need to see this immediately. The screen changed to show Sun Mi's data. The AI had arranged the quantum signals into a clear geometric pattern. It looked like a complex diagram, with circles and lines connecting in ways that seemed meaningful. "This is impossible," Du Hyun said from his engineering station. "These patterns, they look like technical drawings." He Jin felt her heart racing as she studied the diagram. "They are technical drawings," she whispered. "They're showing us how the black hole is being formed." Commander Lee turned to face her. "Are you suggesting that this collapse is artificial? That someone is creating this black hole on purpose?" Before He Jin could answer, the station's sensors detected a new surge of energy from the dying star. The main screen filled with new data as more patterns emerged from the quantum noise. "The signals are getting stronger," Sun Mi reported. "The AI is detecting mathematical sequences within the patterns. They appear to be instructions of some kind." Jae-won worked quickly at his station, comparing the new data with known scientific principles. "These instructions describe processes we've only theorized about," he said, his voice filled with amazement. "Whoever created these signals understands physics far better than we do." The station shook as another gravitational wave passed through their section of space. Du Hyun checked his instruments carefully. "We're still safe," he reported, "but these waves are becoming more frequent." He Jin suddenly noticed something in the data that made her gasp. "Look at this sequence," she said, highlighting part of the pattern. "It's a repeating series of prime numbers. This has to be an attempt at communication." Jae-won moved to her station and studied the sequence. "You're right," he said, "and there's more. These patterns aren't just showing us how the black hole forms. They're showing us how to use it." Commander Lee stepped forward. "Use it for what?" "Communication," He Jin answered, her voice filled with wonder. "I think this black hole is being created as part of a network that spans the entire universe." The control room fell silent again, as everyone considered the implications of this discovery. They weren't just watching a star die. They were witnessing the construction of something far more significant, a door to the rest of the universe. Through the window, they could see the star's light growing even more intense. The collapse was accelerating, but now they understood it wasn't just a natural death. It was a carefully planned transformation, guided by an intelligence they had yet to comprehend fully. "What do we do now?" Du Hyun asked, breaking the silence. Commander Lee looked at each member of his crew before answering. "Now," he said firmly, "we learn how to answer." Dr. Sun Mi-kang worked diligently at her station in the Artificial Intelligence Laboratory of the Horizon Space Station. Her screens displayed complex patterns of quantum signals, each one part of the message being transmitted through the dying star. The station's advanced AI systems processed the data continuously, searching for meaningful patterns in the cosmic transmission. "I think I found something significant," Sun Mi announced through the station's communication system. Within minutes, the other senior staff members gathered in her laboratory. Commander Taeyang Lee arrived first, followed by Dr. Hae-jin Park and Dr. Ji-won Kim. Chief Engineer Do-hyun Choi joined them remotely from his engineering station, where he monitored the station's structural integrity. "The AI has decoded the first complete sequence," Sun Mi explained, displaying the results on the main screen. "The message appears to be a warning, but also an invitation." He Jin studied the decoded patterns carefully. "These symbols match known mathematical constants," she observed. "They're using universal mathematical language to communicate with any civilization advanced enough to detect their signals." Jae-won pointed to a recurring sequence in the data. "This part keeps repeating. It shows a network of connected points, each one corresponding to a known black hole in our galaxy." The dying star outside their window continued its carefully controlled collapse. Its blue light illuminated the laboratory, casting moving shadows as waves of energy pulsed through space. The message warns about unauthorized use of the network. Sun Mei continued, reading from her screen. It explains that black holes can be used for faster-than-light communication, but only if created and accessed correctly. Commander Lee's expression remained serious. Are they telling us how to build our own? Not exactly, He Jin responded. They're showing us how to access the ones that already exist. This star isn't just becoming a black hole. It's becoming an access point to their communication network. The station trembled as another gravitational wave passed through. Du Hyun's voice came through the speakers. All systems remain stable, but these waves are getting stronger. We need to be prepared to move to a safer distance if necessary. Sun Mei's computer suddenly emitted a series of alert tones. The AI has decoded another section of the message, she announced. This part contains specific technical information about how the network functions. Jai-Wan examined the new data carefully. According to this, the network allows instant communication across any distance. The black holes act as connection points in space-time. He Jin's eyes widened as she understood the implications. This could change everything. With access to this network, humanity could communicate with civilizations across the entire universe. Commander Lee raised his hand for silence. Before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to consider the risks. Who do we tell about this? How do we ensure this knowledge is used responsibly? The room fell silent as they contemplated his questions. The blue light from the dying star seemed to pulse more intensely, as if emphasizing the importance of their decision. The message includes warnings about misuse, Sun Mei noted. They clearly want us to understand the responsibilities that come with this knowledge. We should focus on understanding the technical aspects first, He Jin suggested. Once we fully comprehend how it works, we can better decide how to proceed. Commander Lee nodded in agreement. Dr. Kang, continue working with the AI to decode the rest of the message. Dr. Park, Dr. Kim, analyze everything we've learned about the network structure. Du Hyun, maintain our safety protocols. We need to stay here as long as possible to gather all the information we can. As the team returned to their tasks, He Jin looked out at the dying star. Soon it would complete its transformation, becoming not just a cosmic monster that devoured light, but a gateway to something far greater. Humanity stood on the brink of joining a universal community, and their decisions in the coming hours would shape the future of their entire species. The warning alarms on the International Deep Space Research Station Horizon started blaring at full volume. Chief Engineer Do Hyun Choi's hands moved rapidly across his control panel as he tried to stabilize the station's systems. Report status. Commander Taeyang Lee demanded through the communication system. The gravitational forces are much stronger than our calculations predicted, Du Hyun replied, his voice tense but controlled. The station's outer hull is under significant stress. Through the main observation window, they could see the dying star had changed dramatically. Its surface now glowed with an intense purple-white light, and the spiral patterns of falling stellar material moved so fast they looked almost solid. Dr. He Jin Park and Dr. Ji-won Kim worked frantically at their research stations, trying to understand what had gone wrong. The black hole's formation was accelerating far beyond their predictions. The quantum signals are becoming distorted, He Jin reported, studying her readings carefully. We're losing parts of the message. In the AI laboratory, Dr. Sun Mi Kang fought to keep their computer systems running as waves of quantum interference disrupted their normal operation. The AI is struggling to process the data, she announced. The patterns are changing too quickly. Another violent tremor shook the station. Warning lights flashed across Du Hyun's control panel. Commander, we have damage to the outer sensor array, he reported. If we stay here much longer, we risk losing more critical systems. Commander Lee faced a difficult decision. They were witnessing a historic event and receiving vital information about an interstellar communication network. But his first duty was to protect his crew. How much of the message have we decoded? He asked Sun Mei. About 60%, she replied. The last part appears to contain crucial information about accessing the network, but we haven't translated it yet. Hajin looked up from her station. Commander, we can't leave yet. The patterns we're seeing now are completely new. This could be the most important part of the message. Another tremor, stronger than before, rocked the station. Du Hyun's voice became more urgent. The structural integrity of Section C is compromised. We need to move to a safer distance immediately. Jae-won studied the readings from the dying star. The gravitational forces will continue to increase. If we stay, we risk losing the entire station. Commander Lee stood in the center of the control room, feeling the weight of command on his shoulders. The future of human space exploration might depend on the information they were receiving, but he couldn't risk the lives of his crew. Before he could give the order to retreat, Hajin's voice cut through the noise of the alarms. The message is changing. They're trying to tell us something new. The main screen filled with rapid sequences of quantum patterns. The AI systems processed them instantly, translating the mathematical symbols into readable text. It's a warning. Sun Lei called out from her station. They're telling us to maintain our exact position. Moving now would be dangerous. Do Hyun checked his instruments again. Commander, we have maybe 10 minutes before the structural damage becomes critical. Whatever we're going to do, we need to decide now. The station shook continuously now as waves of gravitational force washed over it. Through the window, they could see the star's light beginning to twist in impossible ways as space itself bent around the forming black hole. Hajin, Commander Lee said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. You have 5 minutes to get what we need from that message. After that, we leave. No arguments. Hajin nodded and turned back to her work. The future of humanity's place in the universe might depend on what they could learn in the next 5 minutes. As she worked, the star's light continued to twist and bend, marking the final stages of its transformation into something that would change their understanding of the cosmos forever. The 5 minutes Commander Tai-Yang Lee had given the research team felt like mere seconds as they worked to decode the final parts of the mysterious message. The International Deep Space Research Station, Horizon, continued to shake as gravitational waves battered its structure. Dr. Hae-Jin Park focused intently on her screen, ignoring the warning alarms and the vibrations that made her hands tremble. Dr. Jae-won Kim worked beside her, helping to interpret the complex patterns they were receiving. The translation is coming through, Dr. Sun Mei Kang announced from her AI laboratory. The main screen displayed the decoded message, revealing information that made everyone in the control room pause despite the danger surrounding them. This isn't just a communication network, Hajin said, her voice filled with awe. It's a library. The black holes store information from every civilization that has ever joined the network. Commander Lee stepped closer to the screen, studying the decoded text. How is that possible? Jae-won pointed to a series of diagrams appearing on the screen. According to this, the ancient civilization that created the network found a way to encode information in the quantum structure of space itself. They use black holes as connection points because the intense gravity creates stable quantum states that can store massive amounts of data. Another violent tremor shook the station. Chief Engineer Do Hyun Choi's voice came through the speakers, tense but professional. 3 minutes until we must evacuate. The outer hull cannot take much more stress. Hajin worked faster, her fingers flying across her control panel. The message explains how to access the stored information. Each black hole in the network contains knowledge from thousands of civilizations, scientific discoveries, cultural records, historical documents, everything they wanted to preserve. The AI has finished translating the technical specifications, Sun Mai reported. They're showing us how to build a safe interface to connect with the network. The plans are incredibly detailed. Commander Lee watched as more information filled their screens. Why are they sharing this with us? Why now? Jae-won studied a new section of the message that had just been decoded. According to this, they monitor developing civilizations, When a species reaches the point where they can detect and study the artificial nature of these black holes, they're considered ready to join the network. The station shook again, more violently than before. 2 minutes remaining, Do-hyun warned. Ha-jin suddenly straightened in her chair. There's more. The network isn't just for sharing information. It's a safeguard against extinction. If anything happens to a member civilization, their entire knowledge base remains preserved in the network, accessible to future species. The AI has decoded the final section. Sunmai announced. It contains instructions for humanity's first steps in accessing the network. We need to build a quantum interface at specific coordinates in our solar system. Commander Lee made his decision. Download everything. We've learned what we came for. He activated the station-wide communication system. All personnel, prepare for immediate evacuation to safe distance. As the crew worked quickly to save all their data, the dying star outside their window reached its final moments of transformation. The light began to bend in impossible ways as space itself curved around the forming black hole. Data download complete, Sunmai confirmed. All systems ready for emergency move, Do-hyun reported. Ha-jin took one last look at the extraordinary sight before them. The star's final light twisted into a perfect spiral, following the precise pattern described in the ancient message. They weren't just watching the death of a star or the birth of a black hole. They were witnessing humanity's invitation to join something greater than themselves. As the station began its move to a safer distance, Ha-jin realized that their real work was just beginning. They had been given the keys to humanity's next great leap forward. The question now was, were they ready for the responsibility that came with it? 1 week had passed since the International Deep Space Research Station, Horizon, witnessed the birth of the artificial black hole. The station now maintained a safe distance from the newly formed cosmic phenomenon, while its crew worked to understand the vast amount of information they had received. Dr. Ha-jin Park sat in the main conference room, carefully preparing her report for Earth's space agencies. On the large screen behind her, a live feed showed the black hole, now fully formed and stable. Its presence marked the beginning of a new era for humanity. Commander Tae-yang Lee entered the room, followed by Dr. Ji-won Kim and Dr. Sunmi Kang. Chief Engineer Do-hyun Choi joined them through the video link from the engineering section, where he continued to monitor the station's repaired systems. Are we ready to send the report? Commander Lee asked, taking his seat at the head of the conference table. Ha-jin nodded. I've included everything we learned about the network, but I've been careful about how to present it. We don't want to cause panic on Earth. The technical specifications for the quantum interface are complete, Sunmai added. The AI has verified all the calculations. We can begin construction as soon as Earth approves the project. Ji-won studied the black hole's image on the screen. It's remarkable how stable it is. The artificial containment field works exactly as the message described. There's no risk of it growing or consuming nearby matter. Do-hyun's voice came through the speakers. All our sensor arrays are now repaired and functioning at full capacity. We're recording everything about the black hole's behavior. Commander Lee looked at each member of his team before speaking. Before we send this report, we need to be absolutely certain about our recommendations. What we tell Earth will shape humanity's future for generations to come. Ha-jin stood and walked to the screen. The message was clear. We've been invited to join a community that spans the entire universe. Through this network, we can learn from thousands of civilizations that came before us. We can share our own knowledge and ensure that human culture and achievements will be preserved forever. The technical challenges are significant, Sunmai noted. Building the quantum interface will require technologies we haven't developed yet, but the instructions we received are detailed enough to guide us through the process. Ji-won added his thoughts. We should emphasize the safety protocols in the report. The message was very specific about the proper way to access the network. Any mistakes could have serious consequences. Commander Lee nodded. Dr. Park, include all of that in your report. Make it clear that this is both an opportunity and a responsibility. Earth's governments need to understand what's at stake. Jin returned to her seat and made the final adjustments to her report. As she worked, she thought about how this discovery would change everything. Humanity would no longer be alone in the universe. They would have access to knowledge gathered over millions of years by countless civilizations. "The report is ready," she announced finally. Commander Lee gave the order. "Send it." As the transmission began, they all watched the black hole on the screen. Its perfect form represented not just a triumph of advanced science, but a doorway to humanity's next great adventure. "What happens now?" Sun Mei asked quietly. "Now," Jin replied, "we prepare for our future. Earth will need to make important decisions. Building the interface will require global cooperation on a scale we've never seen before. But once it's complete, we'll take our place among the stars." The black hole's image seemed to pulse slightly, as if acknowledging their words. It was no longer just a cosmic monster that devoured light and matter. It was humanity's first step into a larger universe, a universe filled with knowledge, wisdom, and the combined legacy of countless civilizations reaching across time and space.